everyone, it's Di here with Di's Den, and today I would like to show you how to make this card. It's called a pop-up box card. I had to put it on an angle like this so you can see it, because down like this you can't really see it very well. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a frog in my throat this morning. This one is made with retired products, but the one we're going to make today is going to be made with some beautiful paper called Ornate Garden Specialty Paper, which is in the new annual catalogue. And I don't have all my products yet, so I don't have any of the new in colours, so I'll improvise with other colours that are very similar. This card is 5.5 by 5.5. It has a floating sentiment on the front here, which I will show you how to make, and it folds flat like so and fits into a 5.5 inch square envelope. I think it's really gorgeous. I think you could do this as a nice man's card as well, but I'm going to do another lady's card and I will show you how I built this. I will start with what we need to use. Excuse me, I have to pull my chair in a bit now, and I'll move that out of the way. Okay, so we're going to use just 2 stamp sets today. We're going to use Daisy Lane, and we're going to be using the smaller of the 2 daisy flowers along with the words friend. Not sure what I'm going to put on the back yet. Oh, sorry, you saw that you could write on the back. So I'm going to play that by ear, and I'm going to be using this stamp set here along with the obviously the bodies for the butterflies. As I say, I'm not sure of the saying I'm going to put on the back yet. It will probably be something simple, so let's have a look. So we're going to need a fair bit of card, and I've done a lot of prep work beforehand because there's just so many bits and pieces. Let's pop these out of the way. So first of all, we're going to need a card base for the large box, which measures 11.5 inches by 5.5 inches. We're going to need 2 more pieces that are 11.5 inches, and each one of these measures 2 3/4 inches across. We're going to need 2 pieces of contrasting card that measure, let me see, I can't see that from here, 5 1/4 by 2.5 inches, and 12, yes 12, you heard me, squares that measure 2.5 by 2.5 inches. And then we're going to need 12 pieces of designer paper that measure 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. Now I've used the opposite side on the others, so as I say, I've already done most of these. I'm only going to stick one so you can see me stick one together, but I've done all the rest because it's just, you don't need to see me sit there and put 12 pieces of designer paper on 12 pieces of card. So that's that. And then for our writing panel on the back, I have 2 pieces that measure 5 inches by 2 1/4, but I'm not sure whether I'm going to use 1 piece of designer paper, so I've cut the designer paper as well. Let's see how I feel when I get there. Then for your sentiment tag on the front, the floating one, you're going to need a piece of card that measures 2 1/4 by 1, 2 1/2 by 1 1/4, and 2 3/4 by 1 1/2. Now I've already done mine, but I will show you how I did that. You're also going to need 2 pieces of card, and I used just a piece of white because for the floating sentiment, these measure 2 inches long by 1/2 inch wide. I've done one, but I will show you how I did them. You'll need some scrap paper, bigger piece than this, because you're going to make 6 daisy flowers. So, and I've made mine, so we will just do one, and 2 sets of butterflies, which I've done mine as well, but I will do one of each so you can see those. So let's pop that out. Let's start by just, where is it? just start by gluing that last piece of designer paper on there so that I know that I get it the right way round. Okay, so let's glue this 2 1/4 inch piece of designer paper onto the 2 1/2 inch square of contrasting paper, cardstock. That's done, so now they're all ready to go when we are. Let's move this all out of the way now, and we will bring in our scoreboard. Let me pop the pin in my glue first, just to stop it from drying out around the top. It's quite warm in the house here today. My husband's feeling the cold really badly, so we've actually got the heater going full blast, or it feels like to me. So all of these pieces go into the scoreboard on the long side, with the long side across the top, and they all get scored exactly the same, which is 2 3/4, 2 3/4, 5 1/2, 8 1/4, and 11. So let's move that out of the way, and then we'll bring this one in. 2 3/4, 5 1/2, 8 1/4, and 11. And we'll do it one more time on the long piece, the bigger piece, which is exactly the same. 2 3/4. I think I need to turn that up the other way. Oh, I don't know, this board needs a good clean, I think. 5 1/2, 8 1/4, and 11. And that's all our scoring done. So let's pop the scoreboard away and pull them out of there. And we're just going to fold and burnish all the score lines, and they're all exactly the same, all mountain folds. So over, 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 and over again on all three pieces. I don't know where I've got 4 from, but there you go. And one more. And the last one. So now what we're going to do is we're going to get our scissors wherever I put them. Here we are. And we're just going to, on this short end here, we are going to just notch that in on all 3 pieces. You can make this card with tear and tape. I wouldn't suggest doing it with snail or whatever the new one's called, Seal Plus. But I'm going to do mine with wet glue, so I'm going to pop a bit of wet glue on this end that we just trimmed, lay it down flat, and then lay the other one on top, making sure that it lines up beautifully on both ends. And we're going to do that on all 3 pieces. So we're going to pop some glue on this small section, lay it down flat, lay the other one on top, and they will line up beautifully. So, oh, they line up beautifully, and we're going to do that one more time. So we're going to pop some glue on this long one. Oops, a bit over the edge there, never mind. That will go, and bring that one down on top. And we have our box. Now for me, I want this join here that we've made at the back. So we're going to lay that flat this way. And we're going to just pop something on top of that for a minute, because it's just be easier. And with these ones, where the join is here, I want that to be in the middle at the back. So making sure that it's in the middle at the back, like so. Now I've got mine facing down so that when it opens up and we're going to pop something inside, we won't see it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn it over once you've got your join there, and on the bottom half of the side with the join you're going to put some glue, and we're going to glue this to the left hand side of the front of the card box, making sure that we don't go over the middle score line, but we are even with the bottom of the card and the side of the card. So once it sits on there, let's push that down nice and tight. It will then sit like so. We've got to make sure that it's nice and even on these two sides and not over this join line here. And we're going to do exactly the same with the other one. And I'm going to glue that onto the opposite side of the box here, making sure that it all lines up beautifully. If it does stick out a little bit, then we're going to have to trim a little bit. Sometimes you measure your card and it doesn't, I don't know, just doesn't seem to sit quite as nicely. So this one's a little bit over the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to trim that back. Now, my first one I measured perfectly. This one I measured a little bit out, obviously. There we go. So that's nice and neat down that one side now. So that is basically our box card. So when it stands up, these will fold down like so, and they will sit down there nicely once we've got some nice weight on them. So that's our box card. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring in all our layers, and I've got 6 of each. I've got 6 with the designer paper that way up, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 6 with the paper this way up. So my 6 with my daisies on, I'm going to lay this flat this way, because I'm going to put one there, and one there on each of them. Now if you're using a designer paper that has got a direction, I suggest that you make sure you get your direction the correct way. Like this one, the flower needs to go that way up. So I'm going to pop that one there. Oops. Come back into the picture, come back into my hand. This is actually quite an easy card to make, and it's very effective. That one. Stand up. Drunken bottle, that's because it's full. On that side there, come out of the way. I don't think that one matters one way or the other which way that one goes. Unfortunately I couldn't pre-do this part, so okie-dokie. So that's our 4 sides, front parts of the card done. How gorgeous does that paper look on there? This is actually Daffodil Delight because I don't have any Bumblebee. This colour in here is Bumblebee, which is the new in colour for 2020-2022. So once that all comes out, it will be gorgeous. I just don't have it all yet. waiting for my order to come. Okay, with our other pieces, what we're going to do is we're going to glue these on the inside of our boxes. We're going to glue one on the base, I'm sorry I can't do this any other way, like so. So let's do the other base one. I know you can't see that one very well when I'm doing it. I don't have any other way of sort of bringing it in to do it. And this one goes in this side here and goes down on the bottom. Now this helps to give it weight, and when you're looking at the picture, the card, you don't see like white or yellow in this case card. I'm going to put another one on the back part of that. So I'm popping this other one onto this back panel up the top here. Let's turn it this way, you'll be able to see what I'm doing of. Now that covers over the join at the top there, so you don't see that join. That's why I put it up the top. It's easier, it's out of the way. So when it's open, you can see now that it looks, whoops, pop it that way. That way you can see that it's on both pieces, the back panel and the bottom. Let's do the other one the same. And this one's going to go onto the back panel of the other square. So if I stand that up like that, I can then put it in there nice and neatly. You can't see what I'm doing of, I know, but when it's open then it looks like that. So you can, when you see it on the mantle shelf or on the table, it's going to look like that when it's sitting in the person can see the card. We don't put anything else in here because it would get in the way, but it just looks neater and more finished. These other two panels are going to go on the inside of the big part of the box, on the two back panels. Now we don't need to do them on the front ones. You can if you wish, which means you would need to cut 14 of each, but I don't see any point to it myself. It's just that it gives it that look of being finished when someone looks at the card. And that one's on the inside of that side. So when the card is like this on the table or on the mantle shelf, and you can see that it just looks really finished inside here and inside on these pieces here. So that's our card done, except for decorating and our writing panel. So we will start with our writing panel, and I'm still not sure whether I'm going to put, I think I might put the designer paper on the back of this one and only one writing panel. Yes, I think that's what I'm going to do. So let's pop this one onto here. This is an entirely optional one to do, whether you wish to do it this way or have two writing panels is entirely up to you. And I will glue this straight onto the back of the card. So let's fold my card up, lay it flat, and put my other panel on the back here. And that's my panel just there, so that looks just as finished. So we're going to decide what we're going to put in here, and I think I'm going to put the good things in life are better with you. So let's pull that one out and pop that onto a block, and I will stamp that onto my writing panel. Where is my, I don't know what I've done with my, oh there it is, hang on a moment, because this is a polymer stamp. it just stamps so much nicer if you stamp onto the stamping mat, stamping and pricking mat. So that's my, and I'm going to stamp one little butterfly down the bottom here. He didn't want to come out in the corner. I obviously didn't put enough ink on him. And I'll do one more, the other corner. That's better, but we will make him work. Okay, so I'm just going to colour these two butterflies with my Daffodil Delight pen. There we go, and then pop that out of the way, and we will glue this onto our other panel there and onto the back of the card. There we go. That looks just beautiful. Even if I didn't stamp the butterfly completely, just goes to prove I'm no different than anybody else. I can make mistakes. Now just making sure that your card is up the correct way, because you wouldn't want your writing panel on upside down before you pop it onto the card. So that's our card. Alright, so now we're going to do our floating piece here with our words friend on it. So I will stamp friend onto this piece here and glue them all together. So, because I've always got a spare one, because I know there's somebody else that would like one of these. That's Mum. Way, Mum, how you going? So we're going to glue this one, and I'm just using some roller tape here to glue this one onto my green layer, which is Old Olive, and then onto my yellow layer, which is Daffodil Delight. And that's our saying. So I have one for Mum, just in case this one didn't go together really nicely. And where are my pieces? So with our two pieces of paper that are 1/2 inch by 2 inches long, what we're going to do is we're just going to fold them in half. I've already done one, so you don't need to see me do it twice. Fold it in half, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some, this is the only place I use tear and tape myself, but I'm going to put a bit of tear and tape on both sides of these. And let's pop that down nice and tightly. Got a hair in there, that's better. That's good. And I've already done this one, so. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the backing off of one of them, one side, just the one side, and with this join line here, this not this join line, the fold line, it's going to go, let's pop it here, up against this line in this center fold line. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if I can pop this in here so you can see what I'm doing of. I'm going to hold it down flat, and let's move that one out of the way, and I can pop that one in there like so, just along that edge there, and then I'm going to stick that down nice and hard so it sits in there like that. Now I'm going to do exactly the same with the other one, taking one piece off, and I'm going to butt this up against the other one. Now this is the only part that's a little bit harder to do, so you can't see, so that that fold line there goes up against the line on the other side. So they sit in there. Once I'll stick that down nice and hard. Yeah, so it sticks in there like so. So it looks like it's floating itself. Alright, I think you can understand what I've done there. And then what I'm going to do, which is the part that's going to be the hardest to do without moving these, is to get the backing off of the two pieces. Oops. Where did it go? It went on to the other side. There we go. And then I'm going to get my sentiment, and I've thread it in. I've got no other way of doing this. I can do it this way, but it's a bit awkward. Thread it inside there, and when you're happy with where it's sitting, just push it down flat, and you will find that it will float. Now, the best way for me to explain this is that you need to press it down. I don't know how else to do that, but when you open it up, it will float in here. Oops, I can't, there we go. I can't sort of show you too well, that's it. Okay, so that's how I've done that. That's how you do the floaty sentiment tag for the front of the card. Okay, you could put it up here, I guess, if you didn't want to pop it down there. You could pop it up here, you know, like as a floating one up here, but you would have to use the same colour paper. But anyway, so that's that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to, I don't think that's wide enough. Oh yes, I'm just going to do it on this piece. I have made 6 flowers, so you're going to need to make stamp out 12 of the small daisies, and I'm using the Daffodil Delight ink here, but I will only stamp 2 because I don't need to make a heap more, but I will show you how they're done. And I'm going to stamp out just one more of the, let's pop that out the way, butterfly, so I can show you how that went together as well. Oh, there's one butterfly. Let's find my small block and the bodies. As you can see, my set gets used quite a lot. Oh no, where's my body gone? There it is. Gets used quite some amount. I'll pop the other one on the other side. There we go, that's our body's done. So let me clean up these ink pads so that we don't get ink everywhere all over me. And I'll close that down. And we are going to colour our butterfly using our blender pens. So I'm using my light and dark Daffodil Delight. Starting with the dark, we're going to just put some dark into the middle of these. Like so. And then I'm using the light one so that I can now just blend that into it. And that's all of that done. So now we're going to use our butterfly duet punch to punch out our butterflies, which are so easy to line up, this one. And we're also going to use the small daisy punch to punch out our 2 flowers. Because 2 flowers make 1 in this case. So let's pop that over there. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pop a couple of dimensions on the back of these butterflies. So there's a couple of small ones on the back of the butterflies. And then turn up his wings a bit so that they look like he's flying. And the same with the small butterfly. And then with our daisy, what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our other board. I have a second pricking board, and I'm going to just use these bone folder to push the leaves, just to break the fibres a little bit. So pushing them, thumb on top, underneath, so they look like little tables with lots of legs. And then I'm going to use my ball tool or a pencil, your back of a pencil if you don't have one of these tools, just to bring them up. Pop a little bit of glue into the middle of the flower, and then put the other flower on top so that the petals go in between the last lot of petals. And we're going to pop one dimension, larger dimension, onto the back of that. And I still have a few of these faceted gems, so I want to use them up. So I'm going to colour one more of these in yellow, just to pop in the centre. And let's move them out the way. Over there you go. That's it. And that will sit in the centre of that flower. So all it leaves now is for us to bring in our card again and work out where we're going to put all our beautiful daisies, which I have 6 of them, all done. Don't stick to that one. That's better. 3, 4, 5, 6, and one that Mum's going to have. Plus our butterflies and 2 that Mum will have. So Mum, you've got a saying, a butterfly and a flower. So let's say, where would we like to pop these? So we're going, whatever you do, don't put anything that comes over the edge of this panel here, because if you do, then it will be higher than it will be higher than your 5.5 inches, which means that you will need to make a bigger, or have a bigger envelope. So for me, it is just a matter of putting them on wherever I feel that they look good. And that's where I'm putting mine. Oops, pull the thing off the back of that one. Again, wherever you feel that they want to go. If you're making this the same as this one, if you're making your own design, again, that's just where you put them where you like. Just be aware that if you go over this edge here, that it will go over the top of this when it's laying flat, which means you need to allow a larger envelope. I'm going to turn that around just so I can put my butterflies on, so I can see where I'm going to pop them. I'll pop one down here and one down here, along with my small ones, one here. I don't like to put too much on the front of this one as well, because of the fact that it will get, I mean, it's all going to get crushed in an envelope. So, and that's my card there. So let's put a few, let's get rid of all these squishy bits of paper. There we go. And I'm going to use my champagne rhinestones again, just because I never used many of them, to put on my butterflies. So I'm going to put 3 down the middle of the big butterflies. And, oh, it's stuck to it. and 2 on the smaller butterflies, and I'm using the small ones. Come on, there we go. These do not like to come off of this paper. 1, 2, come on, 3 on the big butterfly, and 2 more on the little butterfly. Oh gosh, he didn't even go in the right spot. There we go, get in on his body. So now let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we've got an even number, so let's put another one. We'll put one of these big ones down here onto my little words, and I'm going to put it at the end of the D. Let's see if I can get it in there. There we go. So that is today's card. I hope you've enjoyed today's card. I need to thank Frances McFall as she helped me write the tutorial. I was having a bit of a brain phase again and I couldn't work out some of the wording once more. So thank you, Frances, for your help. And I believe Frances is going to send me a photo of her card. So when I do, I will put that onto my tutorial so that other people can see that as well. And she said she found it very easy to make from my messed up instructions that she's helped me rewrite. So I hope you've enjoyed today's card. If you have, please give me a thumbs up or leave me a comment. I would love to hear from you both, or all of you I should say, not you both. I would love to hear from you all, and I would love to see your creations. So if you are on my Facebook group, please leave me a copy of a photo of your finished product, and I will see you again next week. Bye for now.